relevant and ideal target audience to your business with data-informed decisions. No guessing, no waste, and you gain a trusted marketing partner with Town Square Media.
Take your business to the next level. Call our Director of Sales, Jim McLean, today at 609-910-5247.
Sports is what we do.
You're in your car, you're in your house, you're wherever you are. You're a sports fan.
97.3 ESPN.
Because if you weren't a sports fan, you wouldn't be listening.
WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City, a Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey. This is Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app. Now, live from the Matt Black Kia Studios.
What a move!
Here's Josh Hennig.
Thursday edition of Game Night. Josh Hennig hanging out with you. And the Phillies currently have a lead, and they better win this game. I'll get to that in just a minute. We'll get deeper into the NFL. I told you guys yesterday that the Baker Mayfield to the Panthers trade is going to impact the entire NFC playoff picture. So to dig deeper into that is Associated Press NFL reporter Rob Maaddi will join us coming up at 6:20 tonight. As always, you can join the conversation at 609-403-0973 is the text board. You also can DM the show through the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City. So there's lots of ways to get a hold of the show. So I mentioned the Phillies lead 4-2. And last night's game only encapsulated how much of an embarrassment it is when guys just can't do their job. I think it's been proven very adequately by the players on the field that the Phillies' experiment with center field has been an abject failure. It is so obvious to anyone with a rational mind and two eyeballs that the idea that this organization had before the season for center field has not just been a failure, but has hurt this team in more ways than one. We were told by the baseball guy, Dave Dombrowski, and all of his people, that the reason why they didn't go out and get a guy like a Kevin Kiermaier, a legitimate center fielder, was because they felt that the production they could get from an outfield center field platoon of a Vierling and a Dubal Herrera, just to use that as an example, would equal the same production as an average center fielder in Major League Baseball. When they said that, I don't think they were realizing how bad it could get. I think that Dombrowski obviously was either trying to make excuses to get around the situation at hand, or he just lied. I don't know what it was, but it has become obvious that Herrera can't field, Moniak can't hit, and Vierling is not a natural center fielder. So at the end of the day, this team's biggest need, not just as they go through this year, but for the next few years, is they need to find some stability in center field. Here's why I bring up the next few years. You signed Schwarber and Castellanos to long-term contracts. You have Bryce Harper under contract for multiple years moving forward. You, as an organization, have players at different positions that are either young enough or under contract for long enough to justify not going out of your way for those positions. Like, you got the catching prospect O'Hoppe down in the minor leagues, okay? You know, is that a situation where you just let the JT Realmuto contract expire and you bring up O'Hoppe. It's possible. You look at a guy like Bryson Stott. He's expected to be the shortstop of the future. So when Didi's current contract expires, he can just slide right in and do that job. Hoskins, he's young enough that he could be your first baseman long-term, or Derek Hall, for example. Maybe he's your first baseman long-term. The majority of this team is pretty much set for the next few years in one way or another, except for center field. The experiment in center field has been a failure. So the Phillies need to address it. Now, I don't know if they're going to address it this year because the trade deadline doesn't exactly have a ton of guys available. To me, the most likely possibility is Andrew Benintendi, because he's a guy who's a little older than what maybe the Royals want to deal with and want to pay long term. And they want to, maybe get something for him before he hits free agency kind of deal. So, and Benintendi is a more than serviceable center fielder. He's a better fielder than Herrera. He's a better hitter than Moniak. And he looks more natural out there than Bierling does. So for me, I would just go get Benintendi and call it a day. People forget the reason why Benintendi didn't play center field in Boston was because he had some guy named Mookie Betts next to him. You're not going to tell Mookie Betts to move out of center field just to put Benintendi out there. That'd be silly. So Benintendi's more than capable of playing center field. He's a Gold Glover in left field. He's a guy who's got range. He's a guy who has experience winning in this game. So it makes sense. Now, will the Phillies go out and get him? I have no idea. And that's really where the issue is. I think the bigger problem is that the Phillies have been trying all year to make do with duct tape and super glue. I think that the majority of this team is being held together barely. So as a result, I think part of the problem for the Phillies moving forward is, when is Dombrowski and Sam Fold in the front office going to just bite down hard, take their medicine, and just go out and get a deal done? Are we actually waiting for the trade deadline? Are our teams just not willing to make big trades right now? Are teams still taking bids? I don't know what the reasoning is. I still believe they need more pitching help. The situation with both Eflin and Ranger Suarez on the injured list, I think has exposed them a little bit when it comes to their pitching staff. I think that this team needs more pitching. But what's more important, is it center field or pitching? If you get a legitimate guy who could play center field out there, does that make the pitching a little less necessary? Certainly possible. But as they lead right now 4-2, look, Nick Nelson is in there, and he's doing an all right job. But when you get these bullpen games with Bailey Falter barely able to go deep into the game, it's a problem. Can the Phillies still win this game? Yes. Can they still win the series? Absolutely. Can they get off on the right foot and maybe go to St. Louis and split that 4-game set? 100%. But the problem is that the team is currently constructed good enough to hold off until Harper and Segura come back? My answer is no. Because even with Brogdon and Nick Maton going for rehab assignments, I just don't know if this team is, shall I call it, capable of winning consistently, because they're not hitting consistently. They're not pitching consistently. They do nothing consistently, which is why it's even more important to make sure that this team can go out there and get some consistency at the position, center field, that has been the most inconsistent. And with 4 games against St. Louis, 2 games in Toronto, and 3 games in Miami, you have to wonder, how many of those games on that road trip are they going to actually win? That's a 9-game road trip to lead you into the All-Star game. And you've already had to make a change to the pitching rotation because, as reported by Todd Zaleski of MLB.com, the speculation is that some of the Phillies players are not current in their vax status, whatever you want to call it. I'm personally confused about what the rules are anymore because the Canadians keep changing the rules when it comes to COVID. And I'm not going to get into a whole thing about, immigration and COVID and all that stuff. That's not time or place for that. Time or place for that. But I will say this. If the Phillies lose those 2 games in Toronto, because you have guys who are unavailable to play because of their quote-unquote vaccination status, that's going to make this road trip even more hard to swallow. Because you got to go to St. Louis this weekend, Friday through Monday, and you got to face Wainwright and McCullers again. Are you really going to be able to beat those guys 2 times in 2 weeks? Now, look, in between, you have more reasonable matchups, I should call them. Okay, Hudson and Palante. You can beat those guys. But Wainwright and McCullers are far and away their 2 best pitchers. You got to hope you get a minimum of a 2-game split in St. Louis. The Toronto series is a coin flip at this point. And then in Miami, you got Alcantara for one of those games. It's not going to be an easy road, which is why you got to win this game today as they lead currently 4-2 versus the Nationals. Josh Hennig here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN FM and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City. As always, you can join the conversation. Text board is open at 609-403-0973 is the text board. You also can DM the show through the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City. Couple other things I want to hit on before we hit the break, because we got a lot of NFL stuff to hit with Rob Maaddi from the Associated Press with Baker Mayfield being traded to the Panthers. I told you guys yesterday, I think this is a warning sign to the rest of the NFC that there's one more team in the running for a playoff spot. Because when you look around the NFC, you got 3 teams in the South that are all going to be in the conversation. The Bucs, the Saints, and the Panthers now. You have at least 2 teams in the East, the Eagles and the Cowboys. And then you arguably have 3 teams out West, which would be the 49ers, the Rams, and the Cardinals. And then the NFC North, you have at least the Packers and the Vikings. So you have 10 teams who are all in the discussion for 7 playoff spots. How do the Panthers factor into that? That's going to be part of our conversation with Rob Maaddi coming up, because if the expectation is that it's the Phillies or Cowboys division to win or lose, as Jay Williams said on KJM, mornings 6 to 10 a.m. here on 97.3 ESPN radio here in South Jersey. If it's the Cowboys or Eagles division to win, you better make sure you win the division. Because getting the wild card may be a lot harder than you realize. I told you guys yesterday, if the Baker Mayfield that played in 2020 shows up in Carolina, that's a playoff team. If the Saints are healthy, Michael Thomas, Jameis Winston, Alvin Kamara, legal troubles, if they're healthy, they're a playoff team. If the Vikings are as good, if not better than they were last year, they're a playoff team under new head coach Kevin O'Connell. Depending on who the quarterback is in San Francisco and how their health holds up on the lines, the offensive and defensive lines, then guess what? 49ers are a playoff team. if the Cardinals can rekindle that magic that Kyler Murray had with Marquise Brown at Oklahoma, they're a playoff team. And that's really what this comes down to. To me, there are 10 teams for 7 playoff spots right now in the NFC. All because Baker Mayfield went to Carolina. I understand it's quarterback competition, but we'll ask Rob Maaddi from the Associated Press his thoughts next. And, of course, you could join the conversation. Hey, you can DM the show through 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle City, where you have a chance with tickets to go see The Weeknd next Thursday. Just download the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. It's free. You have a chance to go on there and qualify to win tickets. And Mike Gill will announce tomorrow on the Sports Bash if you are a winner of a pair of tickets to go see The Weeknd, all on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app for your coverage of the Phillies, Sixers, Eagles, Flyers, high school sports in South Jersey, and everything you need to know here in the Atlantic, Cape, Cumberland, Ocean, Camden County region. 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app.
You haven't downloaded the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app? Well, go get it now to follow all the Philly sports teams at 97.3ESPN.com, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
Hi, Tom Bodette here. Just back from the Bodette family reunion, and honestly, I'm a little baffled by my nephew. Last reunion, he was still bouncing on my knee. Now he's hitting his head on ceiling fans. Good thing they stayed at Motel 6, where there's comfy beds with plenty of room to stretch out on. And great low rates, because, teenagers eating a week's worth of groceries for lunch. I'm Tom Bodette for Motel 6, and we'll leave the light on. For you.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. Thinking about gas mileage? Quality oil like Valvoline Full Synthetic can help you get more out of every mile. Right now, you can get 5 quarts with an STP Extended Life Oil Filter for only $36.99. Got an older vehicle? Try Valvoline Full Synthetic High Mileage options. Get what you need for better fuel efficiency at any of our 6,200 stores or on AutoZone.com.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Looking good, Mrs. Dubs.
The head groundskeeper at Thad's Golf Course just retired.
We need to find someone in the next 2 weeks. Someone with botany and management experience.
He needs a replacement because the greens are already looking a little rough.
Aeration. They need to know it all.
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Earn up to $500 in sponsored job credits by interviewing on Indeed. Visit Indeed.com/credit. Terms and conditions apply.
Whether you're working from home, an office, or both, Staples has your tech.
A powerful PC that'll help me deliver the perfect presentation.
Staples has your tech.
How about wireless headphones so I'm not tied to my desk?
A second monitor that'll make multitasking manageable?
Staples has you covered with tech solutions and accessories, from the latest laptops to networking solutions. And now, save up to $260 on select PCs. The latest tech solutions are at Staples, the working and learning store. N79, in-store only, limit 2 while supplies last.
Almost 3 million people use Navage to breathe better, sleep deeper, snore less, and stay healthier. I'm Martin Hoke, and I invented Navage, the world's only nose cleaner that helps flush out airborne germs with powered suction. But what do doctors have to say about Navage? Here's Dr. Tonya Farmer, a board-certified ear, nose, and throat specialist.
Most airborne allergens and viruses enter through your nose. When that happens, it can cause congestion and irritation, and that just makes you feel miserable. You can get a cold, you can get flu, sinus infections, or even worse. Flushing your nose with a saline solution is the most effective way to flush all of those dangerous threats out of your nose. So now when patients come in my office, I tell them I highly recommend that you use Navage on a daily basis for overall good health and wellness.
And Navage is all natural and drug-free at Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Bed Bath, and Target. Navage, Navage, clean nose, healthy life.
Zero down toward the purchase of any new or certified pre-owned Nissan at Matt Blatt Nissan.
Oh yeah, it's on at Matt Blatt Nissan.
It's on at Matt Blatt Nissan. Stuck in a loan or lease? AJ, the trade man, can get you released even if you owe thousands more than it's worth. Just because you don't See your Matt Blatt Nissan on the lot doesn't mean you can't drive it home tomorrow with 0 down and 1.9% financing, even on certified pre-owned. And don't forget, AJ the Trade Man will get you more for your trade, so you can drive a brand new Nissan. And of course, the Matt Blatt Nissan Peace of Mind 4-day love it or leave it return policy only at MattBlattNissan.com. On approved Tier 1 credit through NEMAC. Negative equity will be refinanced into new vehicle plus tax tag and $479 down fee. Offers can't be combined. Call 877-289-6670 or go to MattBlattNissan.com for complete details. It's on at Matt Blatt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township.
You're listening to Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
We'll check in with you guys have to say in just a bit on the text board, 609-403-0973. You also can DM the show through the 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle City. You know, this is supposed to be a week for NBA news. NBA offseason starts. People are wondering where Kevin Durant's going to go. And instead, the NFL takes over because that's what the NFL does. And I've been telling you guys for the last 24 hours, I think this Baker Mayfield trade going to have a huge impact on the 2022 NFL season. To get more into that in the NFL, as we are just weeks ahead from training camp, covering the NFL for the Associated Press, and he is the co-host of Faith on the Field, heard Saturdays and Sundays here on 97.3 ESPN FM. Rob Maaddi joins us on the phone line now. Rob, how you doing today?
What's up, Josh, man? How are you?
I'm doing good, and I was telling the audience before you came on, Rob, I think that because Baker Mayfield is in Carolina, I think if 2020 Baker shows up, which is very possible because last year he was playing with that torn labrum in his left shoulder, I think Carolina's a playoff team. People may be wondering, well, what does that have to do with my team? If you are a fan of an NFC team, there's another team, in my opinion, Rob, that is in that playoff conversation.
I think he's certainly an upgrade for the Carolina Panthers. He's an upgrade from Sam Darnold. And Sam Darnold had 3 really solid games to start the season, and the Panthers got off strong last year, but then he struggled terribly over the course of the remainder of the season. Now, Baker Mayfield is an upgrade, but how much of an upgrade is he? If it's 2020 Baker Mayfield, 26 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, the guy who had a 95.9 passer rating, threw for almost 3,600 yards, he's going to elevate them into the playoff conversation. If it's the guy who the year before had thrown 21 picks or last year was a little bit up and down, then they're still just hovering around 8-9 win team. And that may keep you in the mix, in the conversation, in the playoff race in the NFC, because we see that. What did the Eagles get in with last year? 9 victories. That got you into the playoffs. So I think he's certainly an upgrade for them. If you're a fringe team, if you're a team that's looking at competing for the final wild card spot, that adds the Panthers to the mix. If you're a realistic, legitimate contender in the NFC, I don't think you care that Baker Mayfield's going to be on the Carolina Panthers.
When you think about the NFC as a whole, how many playoff teams do you think might be out there?
I think you break it down and look by conference and look by division, right? And you go out to the West and you know that the Rams are the defending Super Bowl champions, took a few hits in free agency, but they still have a real serious shot at competing for becoming the first team to win back-to-back championships since the New England Patriots way back in the 2004-2005 season. That's a team that's in the playoffs. I look at the San Francisco 49ers. Depending on how this plays out with Jimmy G, I know they want to give the opportunity to Trey Lance. I don't think that he's quite ready yet, but they have that kind of offense that's conducive for grooming a young kid. They may eventually have to keep Jimmy out there and not move him and have him as an insurance policy. And all he does is win football games, and he was within a dropped interception of getting to the Super Bowl again. So you look at the San Francisco 49ers, you look at the LA Rams, the Arizona Cardinals obviously consider themselves a contender with Kyler Murray, and you got three teams out there. The Seahawks are just a rebuilding squad right now. You got to throw the Packers anytime. You got Aaron Rodgers. They're going to win a division. They're going to be in a playoff race. The Buccaneers, they're going to win the division. They're going to be in a playoff race. I think the Saints and Panthers are both teams that are going to be competing for playoff spots. And then you go over to the NFC East, and I think it gets a little bit tricky. Dallas, Philly, the Giants, I think, have improved. I think Washington has improved. I think that's going to be a tough division. It's not going to be the NFC least anymore, Josh. I think it's going to be a tougher, more competitive division. You had the Cowboys and Eagles come out last year and go through the playoffs. I think the Eagles are certainly improved on paper, and they got to transfer that to the field. I think they got a shot to win the NFC East. I think the Giants certainly have they have more talent. They got a new coaching staff. They can be a better team. They're not going to go 0-6 within the division. I like some of the things that Washington has done. I'm one of the rare few people out there who still believes that Carson Wentz can be a winning quarterback. I don't think 27-7 or whatever those final numbers last year means he's garbage like everybody wants you to believe he is. So I think Washington is a better football team. So all four of those teams are going to be competing for the division and a playoff spot. It's going to be a pretty wide open NFC East, and I'm looking forward to it. But it's going to be very exciting to see how things shake out over 17 weeks.
Everything obviously is up in the air because we haven't even started a training camp or the preseason yet. But Rob, in your mind, who should be the favorites right now in the NFC East?
In the NFC East, man, I would really give the Eagles a slight edge as a favorite. I like all of their moves in the offseason. You're talking about a team that got to the playoffs in Jalen Hurts' first full season as a starter. They upgraded at some skill positions. They bring in A.J. Brown, who's going to really help the passing game. And that's what that was an area they had to improve. And Devontae Smith in his second year is going to help the passing game. There's still going to be a run-first offense, which works for them. They got a massive, incredible, dominating offensive line, and they have a slew of guys who can run the football, including Jalen Hurts and Miles Sanders. So I see an offense that can take another step forward. And then defensively, they shored up in a lot of areas. Hassan Reddick's a big, significant addition. James Bradbury at cornerback really helps. And they finally improved at the linebacker position. So I would give the Eagles a slight edge in the NFC East to come out as the division champion.
Rob, this week, Lane Johnson had some pretty demonstrative things complimenting Jalen Hurts, the quarterback. Now, some people may say, oh, it's because he's an Oklahoma guy. But, when Lane's talking about this is a guy who demands respect, talks about his work ethic, talks about his leadership, you still have these fans out there in the Philadelphia area, Rob. You know what these fans are like. They're rolling their eyes. They're saying that he can't throw the deep ball. They have everything to say negative about the guy, but yet the players have nothing positive to say about the guy. Is there something wrong in the world we live in today with how we perceive athletes in general?
Are you saying fans are unreasonable sometimes and out of control? I mean, fan is short for fanatic, and that's what it is. And it's different in each city. And Philadelphia is one of those towns where fans are passionate about their teams, and they're going to be extremely critical, and they're going to analyze every single aspect of each performance and live and die with it day in and day out, game in and game out, whether it's one of 162 for the Phillies or one of 17 for the Eagles. And they're not wrong when you question Jalen Hurts' ability to win games as a passer. When you look at Jalen Hurts and his deficiencies, yeah, he checks off all of the boxes with the intangibles. Players love to be in the huddle with him. They like to be in the locker room with him. He's a terrific leader. He's got great poise. He's got the character. He's got all of those intangibles. But can he make those passes that he needs to hit a receiver in stride, over the middle, down the sideline, whatever it may be, to win football games? And we haven't seen enough of that. We've seen electrifying playmaking skills, a guy who could certainly do it with his legs. And there are times where he can light up a defense with his arm, but he doesn't do it consistently enough to alleviate the concerns of the fan base and remove those questions. So I think that's one where people are well within their rights to question, because until we see it over the course of a full season, you're going to have those question marks. Analysts around the league tell you the same thing. People around the NFL look at Jalen Hurts as a passing quarterback, as a guy who's in the bottom 10, not the top 20. Doesn't mean overall as a quarterback he's a bottom 5, bottom 10, because you got to factor in what he can do with his legs and his ability to run and escape and gain 800 yards and score 10 touchdowns on the ground. That's going to help the football team win games. And you saw that with the Eagles last year when they decided to become a run-first offense, and he was featured in that. They took off. But, of course, they also didn't beat any good teams. They didn't beat any – they really feasted on the teams that they needed to win those games against the poor quality teams, and they won those. But they didn't beat the good quarterbacks throughout the season, with the exception of Matt Ryan in week 1. And then you saw what happened to him against Tom Brady and the Buccaneers in the playoffs. So they're going to have to step it up and take that next step. Now, can Jalen do it? I wouldn't bet against him. I'm not 100% certain that he will, but I certainly wouldn't bet against him.
Rob Maaddi covers the NFL for the Associated Press. You can follow him on Twitter at Rob Maaddi. He's also the co-host of Faith on the Field, which you can hear Saturdays and Sundays right here on 97.3 ESPN FM. If I could just kind of, take what you said and kind of extrapolate a little bit. You brought up at the end there about how the Eagles last year didn't play a lot of good quarterbacks. They took advantage of that. And Rob, I've always said, and it's gotten me in trouble at times, I'm a big believer that teams win championship, individuals don't. And I think that for the team like the Eagles, if the team around Jalen Hurts is good enough, that they're a playoff team. And I'm not dismissing that the guy, to me, he has to prove a year. This is a year where he has to show the organization I'm the quarterback, or how he's going to use all those draft assets next year to get a quarterback. I get that. But at what point do we have to point to the team, as you mentioned, hey, the defense was facing Mike Glennon last year down the stretch. It wasn't Tom Brady till the postseason. How much of the pressure needs to be more so on the players around Hurts than just on Hurts?
Well, I think in the NFL, certainly it's the ultimate team sport, Josh, for sure. And it takes all 53 and the 10, 12 guys, however many it is on the practice squad, to win over the course of a long season. But we know that the quarterbacks are paid significant amounts of money, incredible amounts of money. Eagles are lucky and fortunate that they don't have to do that for a starting quarterback at this point, but everything falls on them. Ultimately, they get all the blame or they get all of the credit. So, yes, the Eagles have improved all around Jalen Hurts, I believe. I think the defense is going to be better, especially let's not discount the fact that it's Jonathan Gannon's second year as defensive coordinator. So he's got a little bit more familiarity with the players. He's got new pieces. They understand the system and what he wants to accomplish. So I think the defense will be better this year, and maybe they can have more success against the top-tier quarterbacks, because they certainly didn't last year. So they all have to step up their game, but wins and losses, although not a quarterback stat, it's one that you measure QBs by regardless of what people say. And as much of a team sport as it is, there are going to be times where the Eagles need Jalen Hurts to win them a football game. They're going to need him to make that throw in the second half, late in the game, down by 6, when a guy's open. We saw some opportunities last year where they just didn't connect. They didn't make those plays. And that's something that he's going to have to do, because that's the way the league is. That's the way everybody views NFL. It's quarterback driven, and the teams with the best quarterbacks are the ones who usually win the Super Bowl. You know, you can make exceptions when the Ravens won with Trent Dilfer, and some of the other teams were able to win along the way with ferocious defense. But you look at the final 4 teams, it's usually an elite quarterback taking them there.
Rob, a couple of big picture NFL questions. You covered the full league before I let you go. I got to ask you this, because you're not just someone who covers the league, but you're also a man of faith. And the situations with Daniel Snyder in Washington and Deshaun Watson in Cleveland. Look, I agree, innocent until proven guilty, but which of these situations do you think is going to have the worst of impact on the league's reputation moving forward?
They're both very disturbing issues. And when you break them down individually and look at Deshaun Watson and what he's been accused of by 24 women, it's a pattern of behavior that is certainly concerning. And it shows that there have been cover-ups along the way for sure, or look the other way and let's not acknowledge this odd, weird behavior from the Texans organization. And then the Cleveland Browns come in there knowing, okay, he's not going to be charged criminally. He still, at the time, had all of these cases hanging over him. And although he settled 20 of the 24, he still got 4 more, and there could potentially be more. Yet they traded a slew of draft picks, 3 first-round picks plus, and then gave him this $230 million fully guaranteed contract. So they're the ones who are certainly under scrutiny and look bad for doing so. And then the NFL is in a position where how are you going to punish Deshaun Watson? Well, you have set up this process through the collective bargaining agreement where it's no longer in Roger Goodell's hands initially. Now it's the disciplinary officer, Sue Robinson, who heard both sides. The union and Watson's legal team argued their case for a lenient or no suspension, and the NFL publicly insisting that they want an indefinite suspension of at least 1 year. So they're going to leave it up to, barring some sort of settlement that doesn't look like it's going to happen, it's going to be the disciplinary officer who makes that decision. So the league can say it's not our fault, whatever she came back with. This is what is collectively bargained, except for the fact, Josh, that the NFL could always appeal. And if they do, if they appeal her decision, now the person who can hear that appeal is NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell or a person he designates. So if they truly want to be strict and issue a severe punishment, if she comes back with anything, as long as it's 1 game or more, they could appeal and Roger Goodell could impose that punishment, which means if they don't do that and they accept whatever decision she comes back with, they're going to be criticized. Hey, you talk tough, you act tough, you want to be out front and saying he deserves this, yet now when it's in your hands, you don't do it. So I believe they're going to be criticized regardless. If they do it, there are going to be those who criticize them and say, well, it's unprecedented. But I think the court of public opinion wants to see that harsh, severe punishment. And if the NFL doesn't use all of the weapons that they have at their disposal, appeal, put it in Rodgers' hands, and allow him to do it, they're going to get criticism. The Dan Snyder case is just, it's crazy. Today we see the attorneys issuing a letter, basically sending to the media the letter that they sent to the House Oversight Committee saying, well, Dan Snyder did make himself available for 2 days to testify virtually at the hearing, at the investigation, and instead you insisted on these other dates when he's going to be out of the country, the attorney. That's just getting uglier and messier, and it's one thing after another with the Washington Commanders, whether it was the name change, whether it's this case, whether it's Jack Del Rio making comments that got blown up and blown out of proportion by many. There's always something with the Washington Commanders, and that's a mess of a situation. And I think there are people who hope that the NFL can force Dan Snyder out. But in order to do that in the NFL, it's very, very difficult. And I don't foresee that happening.
Yeah, it's just, the Deshaun Watson thing and Daniel Snyder, I feel like it's just two things that are happening at the worst possible time for the league, a league that is really continued to grow and expand and just explode in popularity year after year, thanks to so many things, Rob. And it's like, do you really want these dark clouds over you? And, there's a history of, owners in sports getting themselves into trouble. And it's just like, at what point does the league have to start maybe having some tough conversations about, hey, how do we make these things, I don't want to say go away, but not be a distraction during the upcoming season?
Yeah, they have to find a way for there to be some sort of resolution. But what we have found over the past several years, Josh, is that the NFL, despite any of the black eyes off the field, despite any of these controversies that continue to happen year in and year out, they still thrive. And now with sports betting being so widespread, it's an even bigger industry. People are watching the NFL. They're not going to turn their eyes away. Even if the NFL goes to streaming games on Amazon Prime on Thursday nights, people are going to find a way to watch football. So no matter what publicly it looks like, sure, there are many controversies and there's all kinds of stuff that happens within the NFL that is a black eye for the league, a stain on the shield, if you will. But they find a way. They survive. They get through it. They're almost Teflon.
He's Rob Maaddi. He covers the NFL for the Associated Press. Follow him on Twitter at Rob Maaddi. Also, make sure you check out the AP Pro Football Podcast with Rob Maaddi and listen in each weekend, Saturday and Sunday mornings to Faith on the Field. Rob Maaddi, co-host. Rob, who do you guys have this week?
I believe this week we're going with a replay because of vacation coming up. Darren Waller. So if you missed that, Las Vegas Raiders tight end Darren Waller. It was a fascinating conversation, Josh, with a guy who is one of the top tight ends in the NFL right now, but he's overcome so much in his life, addiction issues, and he's really done it through help with Derek Carr and Bible studies and deepening and strengthening and growing his faith. So it's a very fascinating conversation with one of the league's top tight ends.
I thoroughly enjoyed the conversation you had with Deion Sanders, or I should call him Coach Prime, last week. That was, I mean, whenever Deion speaks, it's something you want to hear, whether you always agree with it or not. He's someone who makes you listen. That was a good one you guys had last week. Rob, appreciate you jumping on. Best of luck. Continue with everything. Glad to see you thriving down there in Florida. Take care of yourself, okay?
Thanks, Josh. Anytime, my friend.
Josh Hennig here on Game Night, 97.3 ESPN FM and 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Seattle City. Text board is open, 609-403-0973. Also, DM the show through the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Seattle City. Phillies lead 5-2. Top of the eighth, Brad Hand in the game. Can the Phillies win this game? Will the game finish before the show is done? Probably not. More on the other side. 97.3 ESPN. I'm Josh Hennig here, hanging out with you on a Thursday.
Wake up with Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max. Weekday mornings at 6 on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
This is either the Eagles or the Cowboys division. That's how I look at it. I mean, the Eagles are a very talented team. We talked about, obviously, getting A.J. Brown. Like, they have all the pieces right there. Their defense is solid. But when it's all said and done, to me, it's between the Cowboys and the Eagles.
Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max. Listen weekday mornings at 6 on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Free battery testing, free battery charging, and replacement batteries that fit your needs. That's what makes AutoZone America's #1 battery destination. Get in the zone. AutoZone.
I'll ring you up in a second. Kim, can you see if we have more acid wash?
Desmona's thrift store is the spot for killer vintage finds.
Oh, that looks fabulous on you. Hey, can you do the register?
But her sales clerk situation feels pretty threadbare.
Oh, yeah, let me clear out that fitting room.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Earn up to $500 in sponsored job credits by conducting interviews on Indeed. Visit Indeed.com/credit. Terms and conditions apply.
This is your captain speaking. You better buckle your seatbelts for this one. I noticed my passport was due to expire, so I went to Staples. I got a passport photo in 10 minutes, so we're good to go.
Now at Staples, get 20% off travel products when you purchase a passport photo. Get travel ready at Staples, your one-stop travel prep destination.
Let me tell you about another time At Staples saved my caboose. That all started back.
N731. In-store only. Excludes Instacart orders, certain products, services, and technology. See staplesconnect.com/services/travel for details.
John, what are you doing? Get in my car. So why are you walking to work?
Thanks, man. It's these insanely high gas prices. They're draining my bank account. I can't afford to drive anymore.
Dude, don't walk. Just do what I do because I never pay full price for gas anymore. I use the free Upside app that pays you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Oh, wait. You're telling me you get paid cash when you buy gas with the Upside app?
Yes, I get real cash back every time I buy gas.
Does that actually add up to anything?
I'll make around $200.
Wow, that's serious cash. I'm downloading the free Upside app now.
Download the free Upside app now to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code FULL for a $5 bonus on your first tank. That's promo code FULL. You can cash out anytime right to your bank account, to PayPal, or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code FULL for a $5 bonus on your first tank. That's code FULL for a $5 bonus.
Almost 3 million people use Navage to breathe better, sleep deeper, snore less, and stay healthier. I'm Martin Hoke, and I invented Navage, the world's only nose cleaner that helps flush out airborne germs with powered suction. But what do doctors have to say about Navage? Here's Dr. Tonya Farmer, a board-certified ear, nose, and throat specialist.
Most airborne allergens and viruses enter through your nose. When that happens, it can cause congestion and irritation, and that just makes you feel miserable. You can get a cold, you can get flu, sinus infections, or even worse. Flushing your nose with a saline solution is the most effective way to flush all of those dangerous threats out of your nose. So now when patients come in my office, I tell them I highly recommend that you use Navage on a daily basis for overall good health and wellness.
And Navage is all natural and drug-free at Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Bed Bath, and Target. Navage, N-A-V-A-G-E. Clean nose, healthy life.
Alert! We're under construction at Sport Hyundai in Egg Harbor. It's time to make room for our new and improved facility. And you're the big winner. We're clearing out inventory with our incredible construction reduction sale. New Santa Fe's, Tucson's, and more in stock and priced to move today. With Hyundai Assurance and America's best warranty, including the 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Use our main entrance on Black Horse Pike. Construction reduction deals are once in a lifetime, and this inventory won't last. See for yourself in person or at sporthyundai.com.
Now, more Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Game Night being brought to you by the AC Airport. Plan your next vacation now. Spirit Airlines is offering nonstop flights from Atlantic City International Airport to Boston, Atlanta, San Juan, Miami, and other exciting destinations. Visit spirit.com today. Before we check in on the text board at 609-403-0973. The DMs on the 973 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Seattle. Say Phillies still holding on to their lead. We'll see if they can hold on to the lead all the way through. Interesting decision by Rob Thompson to go Alvarado, then Brad Hand. Two lefties back-to-back. After starting with a left-hander, Bailey Falter, and then Nick Nelson in between. So some interesting decisions today by Rob Thompson with the pitchers and the selections he's making. So we'll see if it actually pays off in a win or not. A couple things that Rob Maaddi said I want to touch on before we get to you guys messaging in, listening to the show. Appreciate you guys joining the show, as always, listening in and being a part of the conversation. Two things that Rob said that stood out to me. Number one, Rob talked about how, the NFL can't make anybody not be an owner, and, this is an overall issue in the world we live in. There's been a lot of conflation of morality in today's world. And it's like we as a society have become very confused about, right and wrong. Okay. To me, it doesn't matter that Daniel Snyder's a billionaire. What matters is that Daniel Snyder has been accused of a lot of things. And he has not stepped up and worked to prove any of those things incorrect. He has released statements. He has changed the name of his team not once but twice. Remember, it was the Redskins, then the football team, then the Commanders. All right. He's trying to get a new stadium built, which has become a whole fiasco down there. He's being accused of cooking the book so he doesn't have to pay certain revenue shares to the league with his ticket and sales revenue. He's being accused of basically being a sexual predator of women who are under his employ. And all along the way, he's actually lost some advertisers with his team. So at what point is it just better off for the league to be like, you know what? We're going to do to you with Jerry Richardson. We're going to make you sell the team. Look, the NBA did it with Donald Sterling, and there have been suspicions about Sterling for a long time. There's a lot of speculation that David Stern was protecting him down with the Clippers, and as soon as Adam Silver became the commissioner, that it was almost like, Silver had the privilege or the freedom or the liberty to find a way to dispose of Sterling sooner than later. Whatever your opinion of these people are, at the end of the day, why are there people who don't get accused of bad things and there are people who are due? There's an old proverb, a good name is better than great riches. To me, if someone's got a bad reputation, it's probably for a reason. It may not be for something that I can prove in a court of law, but it's for a reason. And I think that in the world we live in today, people are more interested in being liked and nepotism and those things and fitting in with the crowd than they are standing up for the right thing. Look, you have all these people screaming and crying about the Live Golf Tour in Saudi Arabia, but no one's saying nothing about China and basketball, okay? Everyone wants to complain about Live Golf in Saudi Arabia, but the Saudi Arabians are invested in the Premier Soccer League and in F1. F1 has been growing in massive popularity in the last 4 years. No one complains about Saudi Arabia money with them. It's pick and choose morality. So to me, it's a simple solution. The NFL needs to find a way to get rid of Daniel Snyder, period. If you care about right and wrong, you care about social justice, you care about equality, you care about all these things, the answer is simple. If you don't care about those things, as per the NFL's numerous charity initiatives, then keep Daniel Snyder in charge of the Washington football team or the Commanders or whatever they're called now. Over on the text board is 609-403-0973. Texter chimes in and says, Jonathan Gannon has to do a better job against the better quarterbacks or the Eagles will struggle to win the division this year. There's a twofold answer to that, okay? Number one, we are going to find out this year how much of Jonathan Gannon's year last year was a byproduct of the talent that he lacked and how much of it is actually him. Because last year, Steven Nelson was your other outside corner. James Bradbury is an upgrade over him. You draft Jordan Davis. You get Fletcher Cox on lesser contract. You bring in Hassan Reddick. Josh Sweat's another year older. Brandon Graham's coming off an injury. You bring in linebackers White and Nakobe Dean. You sign Jaquiski Tart in free agency. You added a lot of players on the defensive side of the ball. So we're going to find out how much of it is Gannon and how much of it is the personnel. Because on paper, the defense is extremely upgraded over last year. Now, how Gannon utilizes those guys, what we're going to wait and see. Now, you would hope that Gannon has some clear motivation for this year because he had multiple head coaching interviews this offseason. If he has a good year as a D coordinator, he puts himself in a better position to get a new head coaching job next year. So I'm assuming that Gannon is going to come in here and do a better job. Not just because he has better talent to coach, but because he's motivated to be a head coach in this league. And you need a certain level of resume to get that job. You know, it's very hard for defensive coaches to get head coaching jobs in the modern NFL because of the league's emphasis on offense. Well, what can Gannon do to make teams pay attention to him? Coach this Eagles defense to be a top 10 defense. Get this team to win the division. Get them a playoff win. Now you look even better to owners around the league. This guy's supposed to be this future rising star in the NFL. He's going to do a better job this year. Now, the Eagles winning the division clearly comes down to two things for me. Staying healthy and execution. You improve on offense and defense at many important positions. If you execute and you stay healthy for the most part, you're winning the division. Because the Cowboys regressed. Unlike Rob Maaddi, I don't believe in Carson Wentz to Washington, and I don't think the Giants are good enough. I'm Josh Hennig. This is Game Night. I'll catch you tomorrow.
This weekend on Major League Baseball on ESPN Radio.
And it's gone. Aaron Judge keeps them on their feet.
It's the next chapter in one of the fiercest rivalries in all of sports as Aaron Judge and the New York Yankees head to Fenway Park to face Xander Bogaerts and the Boston Red Sox. The Yankees and Red Sox. Coverage begins tomorrow at 6:30 Eastern and Sunday at 6 Eastern.
Listen to Major League Baseball on 97.3 ESPN.